You're tuned to KSJE, Farmington, New Mexico, 90.9 FM. And now 103.3 FM, K277CR, Durango, Colorado. Do you have health insurance? If not, this is a great time to get it. The high-quality health plans at healthcare.gov are now more affordable than ever. How much you pay is based on your income. 4 out of 5 people qualify for a health care plan of $10 a month or less. For free help enrolling, call healthcare.gov at 1-800-318-2596. 1-800-318-2596.
Surplus store corner People's Drive on 24th Street.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Cop Shop with FPD. I'm Chief Steve Hebbe, and with me as always is the lovely, effervescent Nicole.
Aw, that was really lovely. Thank you.
And this week we have a special guest, and that is Chief Robert Sterrett from Farmington Fire.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Welcome in.
So, for those of you that are tuning in and are unhappy, and I don't blame you, we were preempted for a while.
We were delayed today.
The mighty KSJE is also the voice of Connie Mack World Series, and today the first game went over. D-Bat United from Dallas beat the Dallas Patriots. There was a protest, there was drama and controversy. In the end, D-Bat United still won. On the Facebook page for KSJE, you can leave your comments. Let the management know that bumping the cop shop is not what you want. That there is contractual arrangements really that are being violated. That's your understanding of it too, isn't it, Nicole?
I don't know. I'm a Farmington native, and Connie Mack World Series is
so Nicole agrees that we should not be televising Connie Mack into the cop shop with FPD. None of that had occurred.
Connie Mack's a big deal, man. You can't mess with that. You've
I'm
got to
sorry,
let it play out.
I'm hitting the mute button on hers, and we'll just continue, Robert. So anyway, this is the first year KSJE is going to broadcast the games, and they've got a schedule on their Facebook page where you can see, I think they've got another game coming up at 1:30, maybe pre-games about 1:10, and another game at 5:30. There it is. So if you are interested in Connie Mack baseball, this is the place to be in order to hear all the games all the time.
And check out that pregame.
That's right.
Sponsored by FPD.
And
pitching change.
And the pitching changes.
Yeah.
Every pitching change sponsored by the mighty FPD.
We really do support Connie Mack.
We're
really all behind it.
So we're of course supposed to be on, and then we're preempting ourselves to be on.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'll have to wrap my mind around
We love KSJE.
We're starting to like it all less. Anyway, that said.
That's actually pretty awesome. As a former baseball player, played most of my life in California, and managed to be on the Senators in 1997 here locally. And it's nice to see that.
For Connie Mack World Series.
I was not on the World Series team. I was on the 4th of July tournament.
Oh, okay.
But it was an awesome experience.
Cool. So you traveled here long before you ever even knew where Farmington was, and you played baseball here.
Actually, it was the year I moved here.
Oh, okay.
Parents were in the oil and gas industry, so moving was pretty normal.
Good.
But, it's a wonderful place, and that's what brought me back here.
Good. Well, very good. Yes, we are all in on Connie Mack. We are supporting it over at Vertical, and now KSJE is honestly becoming kind of the Fox News. It's a media conglomerate that just keeps growing and growing. Really, every time that I turn around, KSJE may actually be violating FCC regulations with how much they've grown quickly. Separate conversation. We'll bring in other experts.
You know what, though? I do have to say, I really value that it is truly a community radio. And, if you want to know what's going on in our area or with our local government or anything like that, if you just tune in here, you'll find some answers.
Well,
and it's great.
And we're proving, any hack can be on the radio.
Yeah, check us out.
It's kind of the amateur playhouse of the city. So, Robert, we're pleased to have you with us. You've been acting fire chief now for 3 months?
Mm-hmm.
Time is flying, actually, isn't it?
It does. I mean, tremendously busy. If you'd asked, it's been 3 months. It takes a minute to think about it to really see that, it has.
Yeah, I was trying to remember, and boy, I think he left back in March, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, so time does fly. What's been your observations of being chief, of heading up the big Farmington Fire Department?
Well, I think it goes back to community involvement and wrapping your head around where the organization fits with that, and where obviously COVID really hurt that, is trying to get back involved with community and getting the outreach back out, getting the education involved, and developing, well, not developing, but just maintaining the relationships that we've severed essentially over the last year.
Sure. COVID was hard on the police, but it was hard on fire as well. So you guys, what is your policy on masks still? We're still doing some in some locations, like the hospital and things like that. Our officers are still masked up.
For us, I mean, we still have the CDC guidance. If they're vaccinated, they can follow that guidelines as far as not on an emergency scene. If they aren't, they should be following the guidance and wearing a mask. And then, obviously, if we're on any illness-related call, that they should be wearing appropriate PPE. Just to, I mean, it's to ensure the safety of the people we're treating, but also making sure we're not bringing things back to our members. And
Right.
the last thing we need to do is shut down a station because we have an issue.
Nope, that was definitely our concern too. We're not a huge agency, so you have a pretty good outbreak and it could shut things down. So, Nicole is, well, you're here because Nicole, likes to have fire guests. Of course I'm
Sure.
thrilled you're here, but
You're happy that he's here.
Yes.
Don't even. No, but yeah, I was raised by a firefighter, so that's kind of my wheelhouse. I enjoy it, even though I deserted and went to the cop side, I guess.
well, it took the roundabout. You had to sneak out into dispatch and then sneak out.
Yeah.
It wasn't a direct route.
I just like to say that public safety is the family business, and that it doesn't matter which agency you work for if you work in public safety.
Yes.
But anyway, so
Yes.
I enjoy bringing fire chiefs on and talking with you guys, because I think that it's so cool how fire and police really do work a lot together, and how it's hard to do your jobs without each other.
Oh, it's impossible. I mean, we were talking earlier about a news bulletin that came across my computer this morning about an ambulance being hijacked in Houston.
Oh my gosh,
I
that's
mean,
crazy.
Everything we do, from scene safety on crazy calls to aiding in the police and their emergencies, you have to have
Working
that.
together on the ARU.
Absolutely.
We've got that program. We work together on fireworks every year. So there is a lot of overlap. So tell us a little about your career. When did you start with FFD, and how many more decades do you want to do?
So I had the notion of fire. Well, my parents basically told me I need to find something to do, which I don't blame them.
You were 35. I mean, it was about time.
So
Seemed natural.
I got in the notion of fire service shortly after high school, and went through an academy in Texas, in Dallas, and life happened, got married, kind of got derailed, and then after having my second child and working in management somewhere else, I figured I needed some more time to be around my family. So I was like, you know what? That would be the best job in the world for me. So in 2005, I tested and got on with Farmington Fire Department, and it's been more classes in school than I would have ever imagined. Everything from the academy to all the NIMS, the ICS classes. It's hard to convey how many classes our firefighters take. Some move to fire because school wasn't right for them at the time until they get in there.
How'd that work out for them?
Yeah, there's a lot, and so I was involved with Wildland for 15 years, which is a team we have that we facilitate mitigation needs around our community, but also wildfire needs around the country, which basically takes a lot of those classes and puts it into application so you can see how things work, why they do these plans, and so forth, and which was a huge learning curve. And then I spent a number of years on tech rescue, which was river rescues, high angle rescues, structure collapse, which brought a whole other mountain of classes, which were amazing. And to convey the opportunity we have with our membership to take some of these classes, when you compare to other departments that very few have those opportunities, it's an amazing opportunity to be here and have those open to you.
So we are in fire season, and I know Farmington Fire has supported other states and other departments at times. Do we have firefighters, or have we had firefighters this year out?
Yes, we've had a number of fires within state. I think there was 4 or 5 that we dealt with. There was a large fire in Bloomfield. There was 2 in Shiprock. We had trucks down in Arizona. Both near Tucson and then near Flagstaff, and then most recently we sent a truck to Oregon. So
Oregon's got big ones right now.
They do. For whatever reason, the weather pattern, the reason it is, it's beyond me. But I mean, you're seeing almost Phoenix type temperatures in areas that it rarely gets into the mid 90s. So and that's a challenge. I mean, there's heat-related illnesses with that. I mean, a lot of those homes don't have AC. And the forests up there are used to significant moisture, which they're not seeing. And it's pretty catastrophic up in that Northern California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, even Montana right now. So,
I think that's something that, even I and police, because we don't do it, honestly, we don't send officers too often to support other agencies, certainly not on a routine basis. We talked about it during the hurricanes down in Louisiana a couple of years back, and maybe in extreme circumstances we do, but really that's just not police culture. The people within the state support it. But it's something that I don't know our citizens know. You guys do reasonably routinely, that we're sending trucks out, we're sending firefighters out from Farmington Fire to support fire departments all across the country. It's really a great cooperative arrangement.
Well, I mean, when you look at the size of some of these incidents, the bootleg fire in Oregon right now is massive. I haven't looked at the resource list, but I imagine they probably have 2,000 to 3,000 people working that fire. So those incidents get so large and overwhelming and such a long duration that Forest Service, I mean, there's no way to manage it.
Sure.
There's no way to put most of their resources on one fire for the entire summer.
Sure.
And then...
Well, because generally it's not the only fire.
Correct.
Yeah, things keep kicking up. And what's so great about it, and what I've always loved about the fire service, is how well they utilize the incident command system and how streamlined it really can be. And police are starting to do that and to speak that language and learn more about it. And it just makes emergency service move so smoothly in emergencies.
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes back to those ICS classes. I mean, when you take them as a newer employer, like, am I going to use this? I mean, essentially, because you don't have the application side of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And in most circumstances, you're exposed to very limited. But when you start going to hurricanes, wildfires, where it's used every single day, I mean, that's their guide of how to manage all the resources. It becomes more of a second nature and an understanding why it's used and why it's needed.
Good. So your wife and kids listening tonight?
Probably.
Okay, well, Nicole toned down some of the criticism of the fire department. Robert's a great guy. we love firemen, kids. So you came to Farmington, but then you left Farmington. You went to Texas, or you went to fire school. Did you graduate high school here?
I did.
Okay. But what brought you back here after you went to Texas?
Well, my wife's parents own Rubio's.
Oh,
So
okay.
and they were here when we were in high school, and every vacation, every trip we had, we were coming here. It was just nice to get the kids out, get in the mountains, just I mean, there's nothing wrong with Dallas. It's a great city,
Sure.
but it's 12 hours from anywhere. Let's face it, if you're driving. It's just...
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so we were like, it would just make sense. And at the time, I was working ridiculous hours, 6-7 days a week, 16, 18 hours a day. So I realized that I would not know my kids at all.
Sure.
So we were like, we need to make a change.
Well, good.
And
And I do have to say, I'm going to plug this because you guys are hiring. I mean, we're hiring too, but
Yes, thanks for that, Nicole.
a fireman's schedule is the best schedule.
Yes.
Those guys work the best schedule, and it is, you do get a lot of home time, and
it's a unique schedule. It is. But it's also taxing. I mean, you're talking about with kids, you're away for 2 days. If you're working overtime, 3 days straight. And
Not home at all.
Not
They're
home.
sleeping at the station.
Yeah.
Christmas, birthdays,
Yep.
all the holidays, and so it is a challenge.
But it's a rewarding job.
It is.
You have a chance to help the community,
Absolutely.
just not like police.
So thank you for paying for that.
Yeah. Yes.
well, you get that stretch of days off, and you're not interacting with the community every day like an officer. would
Yes.
be.
Yes. Actually, today I am acting city manager, and I have a special announcement as it relates to the fire stations, and we'll get to that later. So, 16 years you've been here with this, and it was like 2 years ago you moved up to D.C.
Mhm.
Is that right?
Yep.
And then here the last 3 months. So that's a major change to be administration. I remember for us the kind of the tipping point is you're a sergeant, you're still kind of a cop, you're a lieutenant. You're just wearing the uniform, and it takes a lot of crying before you realize and come to grips with that. But how have you liked the transition into the management aspect? It sounds like you had experience in it, but
It's different, and it's not like private sector management at all. The components between emergency management, the department direction, and just the membership itself, it has the opportunity to be a very rewarding position, but as any management position, it has the same opportunity not to be so.
it can suck the life out of you at times. And then government, we're all we're not for profit. We're service. So that, as we just found out last year with the COVID, things are driven by the GRT, and you can have to adjust fire significantly and quickly, sometimes on your budget, which makes it hard to provide the services the community is used to having.
Oh, absolutely.
So, what do you see as the big challenges for the fire department here over the next 2 or 3 years? That's so much of the job as you get higher up. The higher up you are, the further out on the horizon you're looking. So, over the next 2 to 3 years, what are some of the big challenges you see for fire?
Well, I mean, all of it is contingent on GRT. I mean,
Yep.
it's the big unknown. How is that going to affect the ability to make the changes? But staffing, we've got a number of guys that are eligible to retire, and I'm glad they're sticking around because hiring has been challenging. This actually, knock on wood, this last testing we just completed, we're hiring 8.
Very good.
If you had asked me last year if we'd be able to pull 8 off one testing, I'd have said no, because it's been 4. So it's
No, that is a great number, which is crazy because way back in the day that used to be the average number.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's dropped so far for everyone, I feel like. And so 8's a great number.
Dispatch has struggled. And
Yeah.
we've done some plugs for dispatchers. Need good dispatchers, as you know, for fire as well. Police, we've really struggled over the last year and a half in particular. But it's something, even fire is struggling.
Oh, absolutely.
Usually everybody loves fire. And can be
I mean,
veteran.
it's a great
But
career.
I mean, when you look at the staffing and what the administration opportunities in the next 5 to 7 years, there are some challenges that we're trying to plan for now because I mean that's not going to change.
So you're hitting on one of the biggest challenges I have at the PD, but I imagine, looking back through time, it's that every chief, fire or police face the same thing, and that's what's the succession planning? Who's going to be here behind? Because you've got your mid-level supervisors, but they're hitting 20 years too, and they can go, or they just hit a spot where They actually want to go to the Connie Mack games and not be, at the office working, much less paperwork jobs. So it's developing the younger leadership that's going to replace you. That's really one of the biggest challenges over the next 5-7 years for us.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that's the same. I mean, we've got part of our struggle is hiring, and so our pool is from the Four Corners area. But as you get to certain levels within the organization, you have to be closer to the city.
mm-hmm.
And so that's a hurdle that we're facing, and trying to find the answers to that and how to plan for that and prepare, and the timing, and that's the controlling factors. The time is only shrinking every day.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so figuring out that plan and getting something moving is probably one of the most important deals right now.
So if you want to be a fireman, you actually can live in areas other than Farmington. You can live in Colorado. I don't think that you can do that as a police officer. You have to be a New Mexico resident. But so that does open up your pool of, at least on the line level, of applicants. So if you are in the Four Corners area listening to the mighty KSJE, the beacon of the Four Corners, consider a career with Farmington Fire Department. We'll kind of transition to, so we've got Connie Mack going on this week, and the fire department here in Farmington, and maybe in most places for what Nicole's talking about, plays a lead role in setting up the incident command system for any of the major events that occur, including Connie Mack. Mm-hmm. Burke was the lead for our emergency management during the COVID crisis. You were spared that. I think that pulled 5 years out of David over the last year. But what are some of the things that you consider as you're looking at an event like Connie Mack to make sure that our citizens are going to be safe when they're attending it?
Well, I mean, it's. I hate to say you're looking at it from a what if perspective, but you really have to. This time of year, thunderstorms, lightning, rain, hail. I mean, we don't normally see hail in the size of baseballs, but it can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Heat events, heat emergencies, and even law enforcement emergencies that they all can occur at any event. And so you have to account for those and at least have the plan, so if something happens, it kicks off and has an order to kick off, and to deal with the situation, whether it's evacuation locations or traffic plans, where do our units go when they get there. And so it's just really, you have to look at it from a very large perspective. That way you can account for almost anything that might happen.
So you and I were talking, this was something that we kicked around at one of our planning meetings, and that was the incident that, it was more a police incident, but when we're talking about incident command, the fire's got to take it into account, and that was the shooting outside of the Washington Nationals ballpark, which was, you don't get that too often, that you are evacuating a major pro sport stadium in a chaotic fashion. It almost reminded you of the old 9/11 days, where we were worried about evacuations. That you can tend to start taking security for granted, and then the next thing you know, it isn't. So that's something that we look at here for Connie Mack or any of the events we have here.
Absolutely, and when you go to sporting events, that's the last thing on your mind as an attendee,
right?
But that's part of our responsibility to plan for and make sure that there's a plan, whether it's through announcements over the PA on what to do, where to go, how to get there, and then the staff that's there to guide and lead people in the right direction. It's critical, and in that chaotic moment, people aren't trying to listen or understand, and so preempting, hey, if this happens, this is going to happen, and giving that information out to the public, it's a necessity, and unfortunately, in our country right now, it should be for most any event.
Unfortunately, the national thing was shocking, even from a police perspective, and so it definitely had us thinking and talking a little about how we secure Connie Mack and what would happen if something similar to it, even on a smaller scale, happened here. And I think through the years they've had different security challenges at Connie Mac games. But nothing like that, fortunately. So, but what the citizens should know is there's a lot of planning that goes in behind it, so that if something does happen, even though you haven't been thinking of it, somebody's been thinking of it, and we're hopefully prepared to meet that challenge if something like that did come up. You know, the one in the area, and you've been here a lot longer than I. The one in the area that we send officers out to support, but I can't believe how massive it is, and so then you try and extrapolate what the disaster be, and that's the Shiprock Fair. You know.
Oh yeah, it's so huge.
It's so huge.
And yeah.
And there's no way NPD can bring in enough officers.
Well, yeah. I mean, they struggle because they still have to cover their area because there's people that don't come to the fair,
Right.
so they still have that general. But yeah, it is a massive, massive event. And if things go bad there, yeah, hopefully they're doing a lot of planning and cooperative,
Right.
just like we are, to get ready for that kind of stuff.
So like we were talking about with fire, you know, we do send officers out to that, but that's not something we typically do in policing. And so, you know, through the years I've had questions about why we do it. You know, we're not Shiprock cops. Well, yeah, have you seen how many tens of thousands of people are out there for that thing? If something goes bad, you better have bodies out there, or we'd be racing out there anyway.
Yeah, an event like that impacts the region and the community. It's not going to be, the impact isn't just going to be Shiprock. And
Right.
So,
No.
I know between County Fire and us, if something were to come up, that all of us would jump in to
Yeah.
help, because that's just why we're here.
That is something that I love about living in this region, and just that I've learned in, you know, working in public safety, is that every agencies, like you hear in other areas where like the county and the city have a fight and they don't really work together very well, but it just doesn't really happen here. Everybody works together really, really well if there's an emergency. And I think it's due in part to the drills that emergency management does every year, because they're, you know, we're having those face-to-face contacts, and we're not having those face-to-face contacts on scene of an emergency.
Right. With all the stress that goes in those situations.
Yeah, we've already made them, and we already know each other and know what everybody has, what, you know, tools everyone has available, and it's really valuable to our area. For
Well, that is one of the better things of the Four Corners area, you know, having come from someplace else, and there we were. You know, Anchorage was similar to Albuquerque. I mean, we were the big fish in the pie. But here, we better be working together. You know, we're a long way from anybody else,
Yeah.
and so it's really us on our own. And how well do we work together and coordinate and use the resources that we've got and support each other? And I agree with Nicole. I'm pleased with what the Four Corners cooperation looks like. And you're right. I also see a lot of the tension in other parts of the state between the county and the city, and you really don't have that here.
I mean, like, playful here. We'll give each other a hard time.
Well, you know, but they're
we're not-
just the JV team. Why would we possibly pick on them? You know, and they're cute little county guys.
But in our heart of hearts, we love them.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I mean that's what makes this area great, is that cooperation, because whether it's Farmington PD, SO, San Juan County Fire, us, a large incident is taxing to our resources, and it requires that integration for consistency, for safety, and for effectiveness. You know, it's vital to the safety of this community.
No, I agree.
Absolutely.
So I guess you and I have a hot dog eating contest coming up next month.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You look pretty fit. You look like you probably can, out-eat me, I'm afraid.
This is the first I'm hearing of it.
Really?
I may have heard about 2 seconds of something
Really?
prior to this.
Well, that's, I'm not really in favor of it either, but that is the plan from our Special Olympics coordinating team, that there will be a hot dog eating contest. I think it's August 20th,
I
if
think
I'm
I'm
not
on
mistaken.
vacation.
We actually can have you zoom in and do it. So
No,
that's
we are going to have a hot dog eating contest, and we are recruiting hot dog eaters right now. And I can post some information on our Facebook and get the word out. But we are looking for that. And then we're going to post information about how you can donate. So if I feel like Chief Hebbe doesn't need to eat as many hot dogs, I'll donate to him, and he'll
Please
get
donate.
for every.
Please.
I don't know what the dollar amount is, but for every certain dollar amount you raise, you get a hot dog credit. So I felt like that would be a great incentive for like the cops to donate to the fire chief and the firefighters to donate to the police chief, so that they could, try to get you guys to.
Yeah, my secret fear is they will all donate to the fire chief.
You gotta be more likable then.
Yeah, well,
I'm giving people such a hard time.
I might have already had that boat sail, so I might be just in trouble on that one. I always love firemen. I love the county police too. Don't think I don't. In any event, it's good to have you on board. I've enjoyed having you on the leadership team with coming to department head. You take a lot of the heat off of me. I'm able to kind of nap through it, and you're the guy just going off, and I love that. That usually is me, but
Glad I can help.
welcome aboard. And Nicole, you have a closing statement on fire?
I think that Farmington Fire Department is a great department, and if you're looking for a great career, it's a great place to work. Actually, just anywhere in the city, honestly.
Yeah.
I enjoy working for the city, so if you want to be a police officer or firefighter, it's awesome.
We need people to make a difference in our community, and these jobs do it. So thanks for appearing, Robert. And I give a big shout out to all the little Sterrett family that's gathered around the radio listening to this outstanding performance. But thank you again. I'm sorry that we were preempted. You can register your complaints with KSJE, and we'll
Do you have health insurance? If not, this is a great time to get it. The high-quality health plans at healthcare.gov are now more affordable than ever. How much you pay is based on your income. 4 out of 5 people qualify for a health care plan of $10 a month or less. For free help enrolling, call healthcare.gov at 1-800-318-2596. 1-800-318-2596.
Broadcasting from San Juan College, this is KSJE Farmington.
Hi, I'm Yael Cassander.
And I'm Don Glass.
And we host A Moment of Science.
For more than 20 years, A Moment of Science has been taking an entertaining look at the science behind some of life's most perplexing questions.
In just 2 minutes, you get a look at the fascinating world around us and beyond.
We hope you'll tune in.
For more information about A Moment of Science or to download our latest podcasts, visit us at amomentofscience.org.
Listen weekday afternoons at 5:45 on KSJE.
Travel is one of life's great rewards, and there's always something new to see and experience when you travel the world like I do. Hi, I'm Rick Steves. Join me as we get better acquainted with the world each week on Travel with Rick Steves. Together, we'll explore fascinating sights, discover amazing food, and make new friends from near and far. Your radio is the only passport you'll need. Join us for Travel with Rick Steves, Saturday afternoons at 1 on KSJE.
KSJE is the radio home for the Connie Mack World Series. We'll be interrupting our regular programming to bring you live, play-by-play action of all the games. Join us July 22nd through July 31st. We've got the best team of announcers with decades of experience. The Connie Mack World Series on KSJE, 90.9 FM or 103.3 FM on air, or online at ksje.com.
Hi, I'm Sam Payne, host of The Appleseed, an hour filled with stories for you and your family. And we're not talking about news stories here. We're talking about fairy tales and folk tales and personal stories and family tales and even a little music from time to time. And each story could spark a memory for you that you can share with the people that you love. Hear The Appleseed every Thursday at noon, right here on the information and cultural beacon of the Four Corners, KSJE, Farmington, New Mexico.